Hello, and welcome to our final episode of this season of Equity in Session for our coverage of the 2026 legislative session. My name is Omar Santana-Gomez. I use he, him pronouns, and I am the legislative director for the Washington State Office of Equity. We have finally made it to past sine die, or the last day of session. For today's episode, I am going to first build on our last episode where I talked about the creation of the supplemental budget by reviewing items that made it into the legislature's supplemental budget bill this session. After the budget talk, I will switch it up and we will highlight our immigration subcabinet related bills that passed the legislature by sharing what the bill is, what it does, and we'll have cameos of our governor, Governor Ferguson, as he signs the bills into law. So going out with a little celebration to end this last episode. So first up, budget. What I'm going to review are what are called budget provisos. A budget proviso is a specific language within the budget bill that directs funds to be used for a particular purpose, often restricting how an agency can spend that money. These, often identified by the phrase provided solely for, are legally binding conditions attached to these appropriations. So while there were many difficult cuts to programs to create a final balanced budget, here are some notable pieces of funding Patrick found for us to highlight. Also, please note that as of the filming of this episode, hot off the presses, just passed the legislature. As we discussed in our last video, the governor does have 20 days from passing the legislature, not counting Sundays, to take action, since the budget was passed a few days before session ended. So the disclaimer is that there is a chance the governor could line item veto or reject specific parts of the budget bill. So for the more finalized version, we will have to wait until the governor signs the final budget. Now, onto the items we wanted to highlight that are currently in the legislatively passed budget bill. First off, funding is provided to expand the state court interpreter reimbursement program to assist courts in providing language access for all individuals. Funding is provided to expand the statewide reentry legal aid project to serve an additional 2,000 individuals by assisting with the clearing of criminal records, vacating convictions, terminating legal financial obligations, helping with the obtainment of professional licenses, and by providing other reentry services as needed upon release from incarceration. Next up, we have funding is provided for the State Home Energy Assistance Program. This program provides energy assistance, including bill assistance and assistance with replacing heating or cooling systems for low-income households. Of this amount, $5 million is provided for members of tribes or tribal organizations. Next, we have funding is provided for the Department of Archaeology and Historic Preservation to participate in the development of a model ordinance for archaeological and cultural resource protection in consultation with federally recognized tribes and the Governor's Office of Indian Affairs, and several other organizations. A report is due to the legislature by June 2027. Kind of shorten that one up a little bit, but we will provide a link to the whole bill where you'll be able to see the more detailed information about these provisos. Next up, Healthcare Authority funding non-citizen program phased-in funding is provided for 1,191 non-citizen clients currently receiving long-term care and developmental disability services who will lose access to Medicaid as a result of recent federal changes. DSHS non-citizen program funding is provided to phase in 1,162 non-citizen slots to maintain services for lawfully present immigrants who would otherwise lose access to services as a result of recent federal changes to Medicaid eligibility. Next, we have 988 LGBTQ services funding is provided for the Department of Health to contract with an organization that has expertise in providing culturally competent suicide prevention services to LGBTQ and other sexual and gender minority youth and young adults to collaborate with designated 988 contact hubs in providing crisis response, crisis intervention, and suicide prevention services. Department of Health must make $300,000 available to each designated 988 contact hub and may not use any of the provided funding for administrative, overhead, indirect, or agency staffing costs. See some of that limiting language that we have for provisos. Next, Birth Equity Project Expenditure Authority is provided to reflect a one-time grant award for the Birth Equity Project, which provides parenting and birth support, including doula care, lactation support, workforce training, and childbirth education to Black African American, African immigrant, and American Indian Alaska Native families. Lastly, a piece that came out of the transportation budget, $200,000 of the highway safety account state appropriation is provided solely to implement a quarterly reporting of statistical information and a status report on the actions taken to protect personal individual data from misuse, particularly for immigrant communities. The first quarterly report must include detailed information on the actions the department has taken in the prior months to ensure compliance with Chapter 440, Laws of 2019, Keep Washington Working Act, and the Governor's Executive Order 2509. So those are the items that I wanted to highlight as the budget passed the legislature and is currently being reviewed by the governor for signature in the near future. Now just want to switch out of the budget and into the passage of legislation. With the end of session, we saw a number of bills that did not survive and become law, and we saw a number of bills that did survive to final passage and out of the legislature. Out of the bills that made it, I specifically wanted to highlight bills that we have shared out through our social media. I am talking about bills specifically related to our work on the immigration subcabinet. I wanted to take some time to report out and celebrate as these important bills work to help support and protect our immigrant communities have become law. As I go through these bills, we will cut to the actual bill signing with the governor, the final step in our legislative process, the governor signing the bills. We will provide a link to the governor's bill actions page, where you can see the full list of bills that the governor has taken action on and any upcoming bill actions that are scheduled. So, to start us off, House Bill 2355. This bill creates labor protections for domestic workers, such as nannies, house cleaners, cooks, or gardeners. It also adds civil rights protections for these workers as well.
I'll tell you more about that in a few moments, but historically, I think it's more than fair to say domestic workers have been intentionally excluded from the basic rights and protections afforded to other workers here in Washington state. Domestic workers are essential. Their work makes so much of our state operate and makes so much of our work as a state happen. They're nannies, cooks, housekeepers, home caregivers, and gardeners. They work hard and deserve the same protections as other workers. House Bill 2355 expands basic labor protections to domestic workers. It includes protections for fair wages, work schedules, and work conditions. It also protects workers from retaliation by the individuals who hire them. Violations of this new law will be enforced by the Department of Labor and Industries. So, for example, if an employer retaliates against a domestic worker, that individual can now bring civil actions against that employer. Domestic workers who are unlawfully fired will have the right to return to their positions with back pay and interest. And repeat violations of the law can result in penalties of up to $20,000. I'm so proud that Washington state now joins the ranks of some other states that have passed similar laws. Domestic workers in Washington are joining those in New York, California, Oregon, and other states in having dignity on the job through a Bill of Rights. It has been, it's fair to say, a long road to get here. But like a lot of great things, take time. But we know. It's taken a while. So, I want to say thanks to those here who stuck with it year after year, after year after year, after year after year, right, to get to this point. We were able to get here for many reasons. The folks here who supported this legislation, who advocated, who testified, who spoke to legislators, who wrote emails, wrote letters. Thanks to all of you for doing that. We also got here, of course, because of the wonderful leadership of many legislators, but especially, of course, our prime sponsor, Representative Thomas, and the companion sponsor, Senator Saldana. Back in 2020, I was honored to, as Attorney General, make an agency request legislation. We remember those days. And so I'm so thankful that while we weren't successful in those early years, that everybody here stuck with it and just kept working and did not give up. And because of that perseverance is why we got here today. So it's a real honor to be here today to sign this legislation, but not before we hear from three very important individuals who helped make this legislation possible. So next up is the prime sponsor, Representative Thomas.
Thank you all for joining us here today. This policy is incredibly personal to me because I was a domestic worker. I started cleaning houses with my mom when I was 8 years old in Hephzibah and Augusta, Georgia, and I remember the way people treated us then, like we were less, like we didn't matter, like we didn't deserve dignity or respect or a livable wage. I might have started on this policy a little bit before you, Governor, at the City of Seattle in 2018, where we passed some of the model bones of the legislation. So I've been working on this bill for 10 years, and here we are today to affirm that the wonderful folks behind us and the wonderful folks across Washington that keep our families going get dignity, get respect, and get the minimum wage. And with that, I'll hand it over to Senator Saldana, who's been on this road almost as long as Bob.
I was inspired 10 years ago when I first came to the legislature because of the city of Seattle stepping up and being the first city to pass a domestic worker bill of rights.
Yes.
And here in the legislature, it's taken us a while. I was honored to be the prime sponsor and for the governor at the time, Attorney General, to request this legislation and for us to partner together. And in that moment, you know, our community coalition worked so hard, and it was so important for us as a community not to be divided. And so at the very end, when we were trying to decide whether we moved that original piece of legislation forward or not, I listened to the domestic workers. And we decided at that moment we did not want to leave any domestic worker behind. And so we put that bill down. And it took us another 5 years of dedication and organizing. And now we have a larger coalition of nannies and Casa Latina and La Garafunas, the Federal Way, and the broader labor community, recognizing that domestic work is work. It is work that needs to be respected. It's work that is worthy of dignity. And it is work that the state of Washington should uphold and support, and with our own state domestic worker bill of rights. And so it is such gratitude for the organizing that you do, for the leadership that you've provided. Ese es su trabajo, esa es su victoria. Y estoy bien agradecida de estar aquí con ustedes para dar testigo a este próximo paso when the governor signs this bill.
Buenas tardes, Gobernador Bob Ferguson, distinguidos legisladores y compañeros de la coalición. Mi nombre es Mónica Salas y soy miembro de Working Washington y de la Coalición de Trabajadores del Hogar Estatal. Soy una de las más de 100,000 trabajadoras en todo nuestro estado. Las trabajadoras del hogar somos la fuerza esencial que cuida de las familias y los hogares. Hoy, con la firma de este proyecto de ley HB 2355, la dignidad de cada una de las trabajadoras del hogar en este estado finalmente es reconocida y valorada. Esta victoria refleja el poder de los trabajadores. Gracias a nuestros patrocinadores del proyecto de ley, a la Coalición de Trabajadoras del Hogar de Washington, y a cada una de las personas que nos apoyó. Recuerden, el poder de las trabajadoras lo hace todo posible. Gracias.
Good afternoon, Governor, Bob Ferguson, distinguished legislators, and coalition colleagues. My name is Monica Salas. I am a member of Working Washington and the statewide Domestic Workers Coalition. I am one of more than 100,000 domestic workers across our state. We, domestic workers, are the essential force that care for families and homes. Today, with the signing of this bill, HB 2355, the dignity of every domestic worker in this state is finally recognized and valued. This victory reflects the power of workers. Thank you to our bill sponsors, the Washington Domestic Workers Coalition, and everyone who supported us. Remember, the power of workers makes everything possible. Thank you.
It's happening. Okay, so there is a tradition when bills are signed that the pen goes to the prime sponsor, but I'm sure the prime sponsor understands if I sign with 3 pens because we have a few people to recognize. So first, a round of applause for our prime sponsor on this legislation, her leadership. And a big thank you to Senator Saldana, who for many years have been working hard on this legislation. Give her a round of applause. And look, to get in front of a bank of cameras and to speak about anything in life is not easy, even if it's your profession. And to Monica, who really represents all of you on the importance of this legislation, the differences will make, please give Monica a round of applause. And now we're going to try and take a photograph here. Really okay, so here's what we're going to do is photograph is right here, and I'll let you take it from here on the instructions. How's that?
I'm listening.
Yes, we'll step right up. Yeah, come right up. Yeah.
Okay.
Come on in. Okay, how are we doing? Cool, here we go. Come on up. No, it's good. Just step right in front of me. Yep. Here we go.
Okay.
How are we doing?
Next up, we have House Bill 2471. This bill allows the state to protect collective bargaining rights for private sector workers currently covered by federal law if the federal government is unable or determines it no longer has the authority to protect these rights. Next up, we have House Bill 2475. This bill directs the Washington State Office of Equity to create guidelines for state agencies to consider or to consistently deliver language-accessible public programs and services. Okay, and next up we have House Bill 2632. This bill requires that all state and local governments use terms like non-citizen in new laws and documents to refer to people who are not U.S. citizens or nationals. This is to move away from outdated and dehumanizing language in our government processes.
A thick one. I was like, as thick as I've seen, right? This is a great bill. This is House Bill 2632, which changes language in state and local statutes and official documents by replacing the term alien with non-citizen, where the term refers to a person who is not a citizen of the United States. This bill obviously replaces an outdated term, and that's putting it generously, with one that has an objective, literal meaning and is far, far more appropriate. So we know that words have meanings, and how we describe things in bills have meaning to individuals in our community, and it's something that we all take very seriously. So I appreciate all of you who worked so hard in this legislation. Appreciate, of course, the prime sponsor of this legislation. That is Representative Tai for her leadership, and I'm pleased to sign this legislation into law. Please give her a round of applause for her work on this legislation. We're going to take a photograph right here, everybody.
Next, we have Senate Bill 5855. This bill bans state, local, and federal law enforcement from wearing masks like ski masks that hide who they are. The bill's goal is to ensure officers remain reasonably identifiable to maintain transparency and accountability. Next, we have Senate Bill 5944. This bill allows spoken language interpreters who provide services to the state to collectively bargain for payment for missed or canceled appointments for which they weren't at fault for.
Bill 5944. Language access providers offer important interpretation services and deserve to be paid even when the party who hired them cancels their services just before they arrive. Senate Bill 5944 levels the playing field across state agencies for these interpreters. Specifically, it allows L&I language access providers to negotiate over compensation in the event an appointment is canceled, joining providers from other agencies who already have this right to bargain. We appreciate the hard work of everybody who does this important work for the people of our state. We appreciate all the advocates on this legislation for contacting legislators, and also, of course, appreciate the hard work of our legislative leaders. In this case, the prime sponsor, State Senator Adrian Cortez, for his leadership on this bipartisan bill, and of course, a thank you to the companion bill sponsor, State Representative Julio Cortez. And I'm pleased to sign this legislation into law. Thank you so much, sir. Congratulations. Yeah, really appreciate it. And the pen. Let's take a photograph, everybody.
Next up, we have House Bill 2165. This bill makes it a crime to pretend you are a police officer or a federal agent. Next, there is House Bill 2411. This bill allows state employees to donate extra vacation or sick time to a coworker who needs time to take time off because they were a victim of a hate crime or because they or their family are dealing with immigration enforcement issues. And finally, we have Senate Bill 6002. This bill stops state and local agencies from using automated license plate reader systems that scan license plates unless they have a specific reason to do so. All right, welcome back. So there we have it, another regular short session completed. I hope you enjoyed our short and sweet season of Equity in Session. Please join us again towards the end of the year as we get ready for session 2027. I can't believe I'm already thinking about the next session, but yes, join us again at the end of the year. From everyone here at the Washington State Office of Equity, thank you, and we'll see you next time.